facing the police every single day.
The numbers do not lie. Police in America have killed 12.8 times more citizens than mass shooters in just the last 4 years. Police. U.S. police have killed over 1,200% more citizens than mass shooters since 2015. Matt Agarist, July 15, 2019. Tragically, in America, mass shootings in which murdering psychopaths go on rampages in public spaces have claimed the lives of 339 people since 2015. While this number is certainly shocking and far too high, during this same time frame, police in America have claimed the lives of 4,355 citizens. While some of these citizens were armed and dangerous, others were innocent, unarmed, and include small children. Daniel Shaver was one of these people whose life was brought to a screeching halt as he begged on his knees for police not to shoot him. Despite being innocent and unarmed, this father of 3 was murdered in cold blood by Philip Brailsford, who was never held accountable and allowed to retire from the police force with his pension. Jeremy Martys was another one of these citizens who was gunned down in cold blood by 2 killer cops. Martys was just 6 years old when he was murdered by these killer cops, one of whom was released last month after serving less than 2 years for his role in this innocent child's death. The list goes on. Yet despite its increasing length, most American citizens think that reigning in America's deadly police problem is somehow unpatriotic or un-American. Instead of the right realizing the threat to freedom caused by cops who can kill thousands with impunity, they blame the left. Instead of the left realizing the threat to freedom caused by cops who kill with impunity, most of them blame guns. The result of this complacency and failure to address the problem has been less freedom and more gun grabs. Sadly, most people who call for gun control fail to realize what that actually means. Only the government has the guns. And, if the above numbers are any indicator of what that would mean, this would be a horrific scenario. Every time a lunatic, who is usually on some form mind-altering pharmaceutical, goes on a shooting rampage, the do-gooders in Washington, with the aid of their citizen flocks, take to the TV and the internet to call for disarming the American people. The citizens who call for themselves and their neighbors to be disarmed, likely think no deeper than the shallow speeches given by the political blowhards, designed to appeal to emotion only. They do not think of what happens during and after the government attempts to remove guns from society. They also completely ignore the fact that criminals do not obey laws, and making guns illegal would have zero effect on criminals possessing guns. In the perfect statist world in which only the government has guns, we're told that crime rates would plummet, people wouldn't be murdered, gun violence would be brought to its knees, and a disarmed heaven on earth would ensue. But how effective would disarming the citizens actually be at preventing gun violence, while at the same time keeping guns in the hands of government? One simple way to determine the outcome to look at the above numbers and compare mass shootings in America with those killed by police. It is entirely too easy to compare all senseless murders carried out by the state to those carried out by citizens, so we will zoom in with a microscope. However, just as a point of reference, in the 20th century alone, governments were responsible for 260 million deaths worldwide. That number is greater than all deaths from illicit drug use, STDs, homicides, and traffic accidents combined. Now, onto the micro comparison. According to a comprehensive database of all American mass shootings that have taken place since 2015, constructed by Mother Jones, there have been exactly 339 deaths attributed to mass shootings that have taken place on American soil. As Mother Jones notes, in their database, they exclude shootings stemming from more conventional crimes such as armed robbery or gang violence. Other news outlets and researchers have published larger tallies that include a wide range of gun crimes in which 4 or more people have been either wounded or killed. While those larger datasets of multiple victim shootings may be useful for studying the broader problem of gun violence, our investigation provides an in-depth look at the distinct phenomenon of mass shootings from the firearms used to mental health factors and the growing copycat problem. If we compare the 339 citizens killed in mass shootings to citizens killed by police in the same time frame, the comparison is off the charts. We are talking about a 1,280% difference. Already, in 2019, American police have killed 488 people. This number is set to increase by one, on average, every 8 hours. Since 2015, cops in America have killed 4,355 citizens. And most people are not saying anything about it? As Truth Out recently reported, the institutional racism rooted in American policing prevents the public from categorizing police shootings as gun violence, Natasha Napper with Stop Police Terror Project DC explained to Truth Out via email. A large swath of people in our nation, white people in particular, but many others as well, don't want to reckon with the horrors police have caused in communities of color, because to do this would call into question the entire way we have viewed these systems and their roles in our society. News media consumption, television shows and movies constantly reinforce the belief that policing is an irreplaceable institution keeping society safe and stable. Unlearning this truth is akin to unlearning that the earth is round. Napper continued, for many Americans, I think it's easier to compartmentalize the type of gun violence that comes from the police as other and incidents that result in the brutalizing and death of American citizens, black, brown, or otherwise, are treated as individual instances that are not connected to a larger, overarching problem. Police and the media exploit this divide when they describe the police violence victim's unrelated criminal history or the victim's possession of a gun or pocket knife, regardless of whether it was a factor during the killing. The underlying message is that the deceased deserved to die in order to keep everyone else safe. As the blowhards spew their nonsense about grabbing guns from law-abiding citizens and those in government demand action, all of these people conveniently ignore the giant pink elephant in the living room. Cops in America are killing citizens at an alarming rate. Ironically enough, those calling for taking guns from citizens are oftentimes the ones most critical of police killings. How, exactly, they rationalize disarming the citizens and having only police, who kill far more people than mass shooters, be the sole possessors of guns, is a mystery. Indeed, Radley Balko sums up the mental gymnastics of both parties perfectly in regard to the distorted realities held as truth. Radley Balko. Heavy checkmark. At Radley Balko. Read, we need guns to protect us from the government. Also, it is unpatriotic to second-guess when armed government employees kill people. Blue, the government has a history of racism and oppression. Guns are instruments of death. Only government employees should have guns. 3455. 1:56 p.m., November 9, 2017. Twitter ads, info and privacy. 1,792 people are talking about this. In the United States, the overall homicide rate is 4.9 per 100,000 among the citizens. Thanks to independent watchdog groups who have decided to document this number on their own, we have a total number of citizens killed by police. Given that America has roughly 765,000 sworn police officers, that means the police against citizen kill rate is more than 145 per 100,000. The police kill rate is nearly 30 times that of the average citizen, yet somehow people still call for disarming citizens and say nothing about the police. And no, the citizens are not becoming more violent. In fact, humanity is at its safest time in history ever, and, in spite of the lunatic terrorists shooting up public places, violent crimes as well as all crime continues to drop, significantly. Kill. The next time your friends try to tell you that citizens should be disarmed, tell them what that really means. They only want government, who has a history of racism and violence, who kill indiscriminately, with zero accountability, and far more often, to be the ones with guns. Spread the love. 285.
Hey Charlotte County, this is Charlotte County COPWATCH. I am using any video here with under fair use if you have criticism, reporting, teaching, etc. And please donate. I do not make money from YouTube, and there are different ways to donate in the video links. Thanks.